This video is about the use of Microsoft Word to help you with APA formatting. So it's time to start talking about how you can make life easier for yourself. You have a paper due and it's specified to be an APA format, so how do you approach it? Well, in this particular video we're going to talk about some of the features that have been built into Microsoft Word. First of all, Microsoft assumes you always start with a template. The templates are available on the internet. They're also available in various forms to write papers. The templates have a few things about them. When you have a template, it assumes that there's a certain layout. So in APA, for instance, you have 1-inch margins on all sides. In APA, you have 5 different levels of headings. This particular template we're going to look at today has only 3 levels of headings, but that's all it is normally used in papers anyway. So if I were to take and look at some of the features built into Word, if I'm typing along, for instance, and I come to the section where I need to type my introduction, the introduction would be a heading 1. So it's a main title. A subtitle would be heading 2. So if I come down here at introduction, that would be a subtitle. So that's a heading 2. These are listed under styles. If a style is not quite correct, for instance, heading 3, it should be bold and not italicized. So if I right-click on the heading 3 there, I'm going to modify this style. And if it's in there correctly, it's not italics. It should be Times New Roman. You use a serif font. The serif fonts are the ones that have little tails on them. Times New Roman is a serif font for your headings. And they're all 12 font. And so once I fix that, I'm going to also verify the location. So a heading 3 should be indented 1/2 inch, like that. So it should be bold, italics, indented 1/2 inch. So you can see that right here on the slide. So that's a heading 3. So once you have this set up and start typing your paper, you can come into the paper and your literature view, heading 1. A subtext under that heading would be a heading 2. A subtopic would be heading 3. Now, you might ask why you care, and the reason you care about it is in this particular paper you see I have a table of contents here, and I'm going to remove it. So I'll pretend I have no table of contents in the paper. So it's now been removed, and I want to put a table of contents right on this page. Well, some of you would start looking up the page numbers and start writing a table of contents by hand. Well, Microsoft gives you something called references, and over here you'll see table of contents. So if you click on the picture, it gives you a picture of what the table of contents looks like. And one click, and it just read the entire paper and wrote a table of contents. So it's going to do a lot of the work for you. Now, the fact that it says contents up here instead of table of contents, you need table of contents, you just edit that a little bit so that it says what you want it to say. And if you want that row to be centered, you click on it, and under the Home tab you go and center it. Now this framing around here in light blue does not show up when you're doing your paper, so it'll print out just as table of contents. So you made a change to your paper, you need to update it. Well, all you do is you go in there and click on the tab at the top, and you can see update the entire paper, and one click and you're done. So working with the table of contents is very quick. The second feature that is built in here that is really amazing when you're writing papers, I'll see if I can find a place, is the ability to do your citations and have them come out correctly. And so, for instance, while it's not perfect APA, it's very, very close to meeting all the APA requirements. So if I go into references and click on it and say I want to put a citation on this page, first thing you got to do is make sure your page is set up for APA 6. And I'm ready to do a citation, so I click on Insert a Citation. Now I have some things listed here. That would be everything that's been cited before. In this case, I'm going to list a new source. And I get a drop down here. Now that means that this system knows how to do different kinds of citations. So I have journals, articles, conference proceedings, reports, websites, basically interviews, cases, anything that you might have to cite is listed there. I'm going to do a journal article, and the author is going to be Anderson Emerson, and the title is My Great Adventure An American Story. Now, the truth of the matter is, in the title, we shouldn't have these capital letters. So if you type capital letters, the system's going to give you capital letters. So it's My Great Adventure and American. After a colon, you get a capital. All proper names get capitals. And so that would be correct APA. 2012. Now the trick to this is to click down here at the bottom, show all bibliography fields, because you really want to fill this out as best you can. So March, you're helping somebody be able to find the information that you have used as your source. So the editor is going to be William McMicken. Now notice publisher, Times. Let's go on here. This might be volume 24, issue 35. So if this is the information you know, you say OK, and it has written a citation. Now that citation, I must have done something a little wrong. So if I click in the down arrow by the citation, I'm going to edit that source one time. Yeah, that's because I checked corporate author. I don't want to check that. I want to just make it my author. So the format we use in citations is author and date. If it was direct quoted, I would be required to come in here and edit the citation and put in the fact that it was on 24 and 25. That's the pages it was on, and it knows how to correctly put that into the system. Now, if I'm going further in my paper and I need to have that citation done again, so I'll just click down here by the word quote. All I have to do is go insert a citation. I find Emerson Anderson, and there it is. If I'm down further on and I'm using another citation, say it's one of these McMicken ones, and that looks like there's an error in that one, so we won't use it. So I can basically do all my citations that way. Insert citation. There's another citation, the 9,000 store. So when you get done with your paper and you've done the citations this way as you go along, you can always go back and edit those citations. So if you want to use a different format, you can. But the big challenge everybody has is that table of contents, and then the other big challenge is it comes eventually time to write a our bibliography. And so I'm going to take out the bibliography. It's here. and just hit the delete key. I'm trying to remove our bibliography and it's not cooperating here. So you go to the page where the bibliography goes, and say you need a bibliography. And what you're going to do is you're going to click on References again, click on Bibliography, and one click, and it just wrote the entire bibliography in alphabetical order. Here's our Emerson up here. And notice, looks like I picked up some garbage from before. Emerson A, you notice it does the author with the first initial. The editor is the first initial, and then the author, the editor's name, last name with editor. It knows to italicize the volume and to put the page number at the end. So it knows how to write these. Now, there is one problem with this. It's not quite an APA. It does have the hanging indents, but it has to be double spaced. So if you highlight it all, right-click, and you'll see something here called Paragraph. And under Paragraph, if you don't have the hanging indents, the indentation here, you can choose hanging indent if it isn't already set up that way. And the spacing for everything in APA is double. And when you say OK, it is now in APA format ready to submit.